Welcome to CyberBytes, the podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Cooper, co-founder of Aspiron Search. This week's guest, we have Lior Yaari, CEO and co-founder at Grip Security. Hot off the back of a 41 million Series B funding round, I got the chance to sit down with Lior and talk all things Grip Security. How are you, mate?
Good. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for having me here today.
No, pleasure's all mine, mate. Pleasure's all mine. Whereabouts are you in the world at the moment? Are you in Israel or are you in the US?
So I'm based in Boston. I'm working from Boston those days. Originally from Israel, as
Yeah,
people can possibly hear on the accent.
yeah, absolutely. Have you moved full time to Boston then? Are you?
I'm
Oh,
fully based.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I think there's like 7, 8 cybersecurity unicorns, something like that over there. A couple Israeli, like Sneak.
Sneak, CyberBytes, and CyberArk on the big side.
Yeah,
Akamai,
nice.
Aqua. There's a good number of big, both Israeli and
Yeah,
American companies.
yeah, nice ecosystem of cyber then over there. Yeah, nice. Most people just generally think New York. Oh, I'll go to New York and break the US. But well, look, Leo, thanks for coming on. With all my guests, I like to just sort of go back to where it all began and how you got into the game.
The game of cyber or game of
Yeah,
startup? Choose which one.
both defensive, offensive. I know you're a man of many talents.
Well, my story is not as special as some people might deem it is. I think it's the classic Israeli 8200 background where some people have the privilege of joining the intelligence corps, cyber units. Well, you gain this both a unique experience and an amazing network of amazing people to work with. So I started my career in the Israeli intelligence, spent almost 7 years there. Then moved to a startup as a vulnerability researcher in the automotive space. Last interesting thing I've done before Grip used to be the CTO for YL Ventures, which is one of the biggest security investors globally. And at some point, you see so many people working on the cool ideas, you start to get jealous, especially with my goal being finding the next big things we could invest on. And once you have a jackpot, there's no reason to give it to someone else. So at some point, after trying to invest in SaaS security, we didn't really like all of the teams we met back then, and I've decided I might just do it myself. Left Wild Ventures late 2020, well, late 2020, that's the
Yep.
year. And then they've invested in Grip about 2 weeks after that. So it's been pretty fast paced. We opened our office on February 1st. It's now 2.5 years since, and it's been really exciting, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw you just took a 41 mil Series B raise as well. So what's that
$41
total?
million Series B, exactly.
Yeah. What's the total since
Six.
25 plus? Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Very nice. And you used YL for the seed and for the Series B. So
Well, so the Series B was led by Third Point Ventures.
yeah.
They're very big in security. That they led the Series B for some bigger companies, SentinelOne, Sysdig.
Mm,
Hopefully, we can follow
absolutely.
follow their path.
Yeah,
Uh,
nice.
yeah.
I saw so you start well, after you left the 8200, I saw that you had done some vehicle cybersecurity. I was on
Mhm.
YouTube and I saw that you had done some talks on that. So how come you decided not to continue down the vehicle security path? Obviously, connected vehicles, it's a big industry.
It's a big industry, but it's also not as startup friendly. Automotive in general, not necessarily cyber in automotive. It's not as startup friendly as it could be. And I think cyber in general, if we break down cyber and automotive, doing them together have its own benefits. But cyber as an industry is very startup friendly. You have a lot of companies, you have a lot of great buyers, Palo and CrowdStrike and Microsoft, and CISOs are generally inclined to working with startups. They like the innovation. Well, in the automotive industry, it's quite the opposite. You can only sell working with 11 permitted tier A sellers, Continental, Bosch, Lear, and others,
Yeah.
and you get paid when your solution hits the road. but it takes 6 or 7 years for it to actually happen. So for a startup, if Volkswagen or Ford decide to delay the vehicle by a year, you need to find resources to make sure the company doesn't close. And I've seen this working in automotive where every delay in projects of the automotive companies, of the OEM manufacturers, um, kills a generation of startup every time they do it. I didn't want to take this risk. Well, I'm not at the top of the pyramid in automotive. I am, you know, more experienced, way more experienced than average when it comes to cyber.
Yeah, yeah. And you didn't want to find yourself in Detroit over Boston by the sounds of it. The
Well, I'm traveling to Detroit quite often. We do like to work with the big automotive, just
yeah, yeah. Quality. No,
not
nice.
exclusively.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So while she was at YL Ventures, was you actually doing evaluations of the cybersecurity companies or
Mhm.
general companies that were looking to fundraise?
Yeah, I was part of the investment team, and we met almost every team of entrepreneurs in cyber every year.
Yeah, nice. What that must have given you quite a unique lens on launching your own startup. What did you see from some of the companies that you did evaluate that you thought that was great? I want that in my startup. Or and did you see anything you were like, that's terrible? Well, won't be.
So, I spent a lot of my time back then sitting as a fly on the wall in conversations between entrepreneurs and CISOs. Um, and with my role as kind of a technical translator or technical evaluator to the financial team, you see patterns of mistakes and patterns of successes that entrepreneurs have. Mistakes could be asking the wrong questions, misrepresenting the tech, um, not understanding the challenges or the value. As an example, technical founders have a tendency to value the technology and not the value of the product. So, they present something super complex and are excited by how it can stop sophisticated attacks. And the CISO says, well, I'll never get to deploy this, so it's useless. It requires, I don't know, an agent on all of the phones of all of my employees. It's never going to happen. I have bigger fish to fry and
Yeah,
better hill to die on. And once you see those patterns, especially when it comes to SaaS security, I think one of the reasons Grip is successful is because we understood quite early what the problem CISOs are experiencing is, and it's not SSPMs don't have enough connectors. API CASBs and SSPMs are being built since 2023, and if Microsoft and Netscope didn't build enough connectors, there's no reason why we will. Also, it's not the problem. Like, there's a reason all those smart people that have built a company didn't continue on the path of just adding other plugins. And this is mostly what we heard from entrepreneurs in the space. What we understood is that there's a tectonic shift in how identities are being consumed. And you need to be in depth in the space to understand why it matters and how it matters and what are the challenges and what are the right questions. And then also be able to explain to yourself, why would this get priority over other things? Because I think biggest challenge that many teams had is that once you think of a problem so much, if you have a hammer, every problem is a nail. They start to think of how they can solve the corporation problem with a single solution that's
yeah.
usually is small because by nature you build it with 20 developers tops as a startup. And yeah, it was an amazing experience to see that it contributed a lot to why we're still building the same thing we promised when we presented a PowerPoint to the investor.
Yeah, love that. Let's talk about Grip. So
Yeah.
where did the inspiration come from? And can you give us a bit of an overview of who Grip are and what you guys are up to?
Yeah, so Grip is a SaaS identity risk management solution. We see how every business today leverage SaaS to do everything that they do. that sales and marketing and security and IT and finance, everyone is using SaaS applications as the operation system of the business. If you think of how Grip came to be, it wasn't a surprising trend. I don't think anyone would be surprised if we claimed 3.5 years ago, when I worked for Wild Ventures, that SaaS is going to become the operation system of the business. Everyone knew it's coming, but the traditional ways of how SaaS was handled were network-centric in nature, while SaaS doesn't abide to the rules of the network. This is where Grip came in as a newer technology to help organizations manage their SaaS identity risk. So understand where identities are created, automatically map who's using what within my business, and then use a layer of proactive automation to reduce the risk continuously. Because if you think of SaaS today, every time an employee creates an identity, every time you sign up using a sign-up form, it introduces new risks to the business. If you or I were to leave a company today, we would still retain access to many of the applications that we used to use while working for the business. And because those applications define how the company operates, they're connected to all of the sensitive assets of the business. Having a breach to one of them has a material effect on the company. So yeah, we introduced just a layer of newer technologies to solve this, and also a new approach. SaaS is not a network problem. SaaS is an identity problem.
Absolutely. How so I was when I was reading up on Grip, it said that you was doing something quite unique that wasn't network centric or API centric. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So we understood there's one ubiquitous way in which SaaS applications and users communicate. It's not the device, it's not the network, because you can log in from your phone, you can sign up from your private device. The only means of the communication between user identities and SaaS are email. You sign up and you get welcome emails, password reset, billing notifications. What we learned or built is an NLP model, natural language processing, that understands context of how applications are consumed. And then leveraging our very simple integration, we're able to both give full visibility to what have been used and continuously track new threats as they come in.
Yeah. How big is this problem? As I was looking, it's like 75,000 apps, like SaaS apps are available. That's a lot.
That's a lot, and it's changing on a daily basis.
Yeah. What was the statistic about 2030? I was reading up on.
So I think it's just obvious that SaaS is not going anywhere. Even if the number of apps is not going to change, there's enough SaaS applications out there to supply any demand or need, and there's more applications that any enterprise can manage in a manual way. So
Yeah.
70,000 apps today, that's going to go up probably 5 times larger in 2030. But even with the number today, every business just cannot handle the sheer amount of applications. But it's not only the amount of applications, it's the change in how we consume IT as a business. It's no longer IT who have a stopgap to bringing things in. They're no longer responsible for setting up the server and installing the technology and creating the accounts. All they're responsible for is security for the application and revoking access at time. And they cannot do that when they don't have the controls they used to have in the past. We're trying to help them retain this.
Yeah. And I saw it was at 50% of technology purchases don't go through IT as well.
Yeah,
Wow. That's just
that's the new reality.
yeah. So you mentioned a few times in other things that you wrote about and podcasts, like it's evolved over the last 10 years. Like how has it evolved since 10 years ago?
Um, one of the pivotal moments that we were looking at, and it ties back to my experience working for Wild Ventures during COVID, is that while for a long time we tried to add patches over SaaS, it completely exploded when we understood that the main thing we relied on, the network, the office, the employees being next to each other, doesn't apply anymore. That was during COVID. And it's not that COVID made SaaS a problem. COVID helped in the realization that we cannot trust the office. We cannot trust the office as a monitoring choke point for the activity of our employees. Not that we could before. If you think of the average organization, the sales force is scattered across the entire US. But even then, they assume the SDRs and the salespeople and the door-to-door marketing are going to come to a centralized location that you can manage. It doesn't make any sense in today's reality. The second thing that changed is that culturally, employees are expecting to use SaaS. You cannot longer hire someone and tell them, no Wi-Fi for you. You need to use those self-hosted applications, because in a competitive market, and it's still a competitive market, when you need to hire talent expects to come in using their tools. If you hire a magnificent data engineer or a marketer, they expect you to assume part of the knowledge and experience is knowing which applications they should sign up for in order to do the job you expect them. And those tools are SaaS tools. So even if you wanted to buy a self-hosted version of Marketo, you can't. And if you hire a Marketo expert to manage your marketing campaigns, then you have no other choice.
Yeah, for sure. I saw that you've had some phenomenal growth. What's like 400%. What have been some of like the key reasons for that?
We have a great product and a great team. There's no other reason. SaaS is a problem, and we have tech that no one else has.
Just on the team, can you just mention your two co-founders? We forgot to even mention those two.
I founded the company with Idan and Alon Shenkler. We all met in the military. That's part of the advantages of working with amazing people is that you get this network of experts that can work with you on problems. And Idan, Alon, and I have been working for a very long time together. So yeah, I met them, but they're not the only part of our amazing team. We have an amazing go-to-market team in the US, led by Drew Ganther and Yaxay Song. We have an amazing Israeli executive team for product, HR, and finance, and we have, just a really good group of talented people all across.
Yeah, lovely stuff. What's the future, Lior? What are we going to be doing? Where are we taking Grip?
Yeah, we're growing. We need to, 400% is good for last year, but we need to do it again next year. And in order to do that, we need, to grow our footprint in the SaaS security market. And we need the SaaS security market to grow with us, which it does.
Absolutely. Lior, I wish you all the best of success with Grip, and I'll see you when I'm stateside.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. Looking forward to it.
Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed today's show, please like and share with your friends and colleagues, as this is really important for the show's reach. If you'd like to be our next guest or are interested in Aspron Search's staffing solutions, please get in touch directly with me or reach out to us via our website www.aspronsearch.com.